and welcome back to Secret and Confessor, Sort of Truth Podcast. My name's Lauren.
And I'm Frank.
And today we are actually doing one chapter.
Only one.
Chapter 14.
1-4, baby.
1-4 of Wizard's First Rule.
Mm-hmm.
First book, Sort of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. If you didn't know that by now, I don't really know
Where you been?
How you're watching
slacking.
this.
How are you here? Welcome, but go back.
Right, exactly. Go back to episode 1, learn the basics,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back here.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I'm excited that we're doing one chapter. It's been a while. The last time we did this was chapter 5.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. That's the only other time we did one chapter.
Maybe this will be a every 9 chapter
Maybe.
situation. Who knows?
We were surprised when we were discussing it.
Yeah.
Because usually we read the first chapter, then we pause and we're like, do we need to read another one? And usually the answer is yes. But today we were like,
it's got some meat to it. So
I think that this was good enough.
we'll see.
Yeah, so we've been whining a lot. First of all,
We have.
I feel like I have to apologize because I was rewatching the previous 2 episodes, and we've been hella negative.
Have we? Mm-hmm. Quickly deletes half my notes.
Don't say that. Well, we've been pretty negative. We've also been bored the last 2 episodes. I think it's because the last 2 chapters have been really repetitive and very conversation heavy.
Yes.
Not much has happened. It's just been a lot of reflecting or telling us things we need to know. But this chapter, a lot of stuff happens. A lot of action.
It's boom,
takes
boom,
place.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I liked it. There were a couple of things that I felt like were a little repetitive in the action.
Yeah.
But it's nice for something to just happen. You know what I mean? I feel like the story is starting to okay, now we're rolling.
I know. I'm trying not to get too excited, though, because I feel like it's going to be a lot of starting and stopping.
So start us off. Where do we find ourselves in this fair 14th chapter?
Well, we leave off with Richard on his night watch. He gets his visits from Kahlan and Zedd. And then we pick up in chapter 14 where we're just on our way.
Yeah, start the journey. And
Yeah, they clearly slept. They got through the night.
packed camp.
They're taking off.
They're heading out.
Chase, Kahlan, Richard, and Zedd. That's the crew. They're riding through a bog right now.
Yep.
And we get some really nice nature writing from Terry.
Terry with the nature vignettes.
He kills it.
He does.
He
does.
really does. It almost is jarring how different it is.
I agree.
Than some of his other writing.
It almost feels like Terry's fighting with himself sometimes, because it's these nature vignettes they're really good.
They're very pretty.
They're poetic. They're pretty. I get a full image of where they are. There's atmosphere. There's drama. There's
I'm loving it.
Yeah. And then
stuff's humans start interacting and you're like,
oh god, Terry, oh man, just get back in the fucking woods, man. But very good.
But it's kind of funny because it's very Richard of him.
That's true.
It is.
That's true.
It's a reflection.
Yeah, wow.
Where Richard is goofy as fuck in his how he engages with other human beings. But when he's clearly really adept in the woods. He's very knowledgeable.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow.
They're riding. Richard's feeling really good about his new responsibilities after his acid trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah, he's feeling great.
He is. He's like, I have a
vibing.
new framing on this.
He's like, I could be afraid of death, but instead, I'm just one with the universe, bruh.
Yeah, he's having that glow.
Mm-hmm.
That psychedelic afterglow.
That post-trip glow.
He's feeling good. And they're going, and Richard's fantasizing.
Oh, yeah.
About him and Kahlan not being in this scenario, being normal people who are able to go
on dates.
Yeah.
He's imagining taking her to his special grottos. Mm-hmm. It's very cute.
It's cute, but what it did make me think...
Tell me.
I had 2 thoughts.
Yeah.
One is I think I'm reading too much into it, but it makes me...
Probably. Let's go.
It made me reflect on how much of this is about how he feels about Kahlan uniquely.
Okay.
How much of Kahlan is what brought this up in him versus how much of this is just Richard needing some sort of escapism in this scenario. And he's just reaching for,
it's a good
luckily
point.
There's a beautiful woman right there. But like he's sort of like, I need some form of escapism. This is so draining.
I do wonder if
she's
we
right
will get some clarity on that. I wonder if Richard will, and I know he pontificates a lot, but I am quite sure his relationship and concept of Kahlan's going to evolve as the chapters go on.
Yeah.
So right now, maybe she is this sort of idealized feminine form that's his guide, but also, like you said, escapism for a terrible place that he's in mentally.
Yeah, it's hard because, like, I guess we know that they're like in-universe soulmates long term.
That's true.
So in that sense, I think I'm supposed to assume that it is uniquely her like pheromonal profile that's like impacting him.
Star-blessed love or something.
But I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting because I'm like, wouldn't anybody in that scenario, you're kind of like,
oh yeah.
Oh, I just want to imagine something really nice and exciting and fun that I could be doing instead of this, maybe.
Well, it's kind of ideal. I mean, hero's journey. The whole world's flipped on its head, but it's like at least there's a hot man or woman guiding you through the underworld, you know, like
I'll take it.
It's better than just Zedd.
Well, I mean, he's the Riz master, so like
but he's also popping fried chicken on the horse. And
it's a little confusing. Like, am I supposed to think he's disgusting?
I think it's both.
Old man, or am I supposed to think he's like a sexy god? I don't know. I guess it is both.
I think it's up for interpretation there. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Beetlejuicy.
Yes, that is a good.
Okay.
That is exactly. Well, yeah.
Like he's like kind of hot, but he's also like gross.
Which is the wizard vibe, I guess. Like a lot of the times.
Is it?
Well,
since when?
there's someone outside of the realm of normal,
right?
So they're not supposed to appeal in the traditional ways.
Yeah. Okay.
He has a power that you don't fully understand, and it's a vibe.
Yeah. Then the other thing that I thought about when Richard was fantasizing,
let's get it,
about Kahlan, was like, I want to know Richard's past. Like, is this the first time he's ever thought like, oh, I want to take this girl on a date? I want to.
Yes. I say unequivocally yes. I think maybe he's had like little crushes.
But why? Like, why?
It's just the vibe I'm getting. I don't know. From the way he thinks internally, this feels like a very young, very innocent male perspective. And this may be, But
that could be like a lack of actual experience, but that doesn't mean he's never like
fantasized.
Yeah, like crushed on somebody. But I do get the sense it's like maybe the first time, but like why he's like old enough.
It's true. I do. It feels to me like Richard has this like Hasidic, is that the word? I don't know. Equality.
Like the Jews?
Not like, well, in a way. Yeah, like he feels very pure of spirit and like. I
need to look up what the word means.
No, ascetic. Not Hasidic. Oh. Ascetic. I messed up. It's ascetic.
Is it? How do you? I think I always thought it was ascetic.
Ascetic? I think it's spelled ascetic.
I know what word you're talking about, though.
Ascetic, though. Yeah, no, Richard, and considering the burden his father put on him.
Yes.
Needing to like memorize this magic book and to never forget it and blah blah blah. I think Richard really took that to heart and locked himself up. Like it really feels this. My man was just saying, "I will guide people through the woods and I will live a solitary life with my knowledge." And it's like, dude, you're 22, maybe date somebody. Now he's tasked with saving the world, so maybe a good thing he wasn't, out spilling the beans and having tons of orgies. I did like the little he wants to show her the waterfall with the cave behind. That's pretty suggestive.
Oh.
He wants a quiet little space.
I didn't go there.
So the chapter starts with Chase saying, "Here, this will be a good place." And then like a page later, Chase just says again, the only next outspoken sentence so far, "This is the place." Like Chase is just like like a Terminator.
I actually went back and read it twice because I was like,
Didn't you just say that? Like,
well, yeah, I was confused. I was like, well, what was the first place if then this is the second place is the place?
The first place was turning off of the trail.
I know, I got that. But I did have to read it twice.
Me too. And so I was like, this dude's just pointing out the place over and over again.
This is the place.
This will be a great place.
They keep going.
This is the place.
Now this is the place.
Chase, you all right? Did the hard hound hit you on the head?
Yeah, I understand. The first time he said this is a good place, he was saying to wander off the trail into the woods.
Yeah.
And then the second time he was saying, I have access to the boundary in this place.
Exactly.
There's a lot of places going on. They're in like a random nondescript part of the woods on the second. This is the place.
Yep.
And Chase says, okay, well, this is the boundary.
Yeah, we hear.
It was a little confusing, I thought. Like, yeah, because I guess finding the boundary and finding the place, the path through the boundary, not the same thing.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
Like, not the same thing.
The boundary is like a big invisible wall, and the path through it is a pathway that traverses the Midlands to the west.
And I get that, but
yeah,
the boundary does not actually seem like that. It doesn't really seem like a big invisible wall. Like, that's what I imagined. It was just sort of like going anytime you go past this section, you're running into the boundary. It doesn't seem that way. It seems more like portals that are kind of like spread apart was the sense I was getting.
No, I don't get that.
But then why did he have to, like, why would he be like, oh, we have to go find this, we're at the boundary?
Because I think the path they were walking runs parallel to it. And they had to go find a place that they could ride their horses to.
I don't know.
That allowed them to like access the wall itself.
I got the sense that it was like more
only a couple of spots.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because it's weakening. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Really it's either a long, big, invisible wall, or it's only a couple of spots where you can get in. But
yes.
You think bugs go in there?
Yeah, definitely.
And they get like zapped.
Yeah.
Zedd didn't think about that.
Why?
Zedd's out here killing the honeybees.
What are you talking about? Oh, why? Because he put the boundary up?
Yeah. How many bees do you think died because of this boundary? We blame Monsanto. I blame Zedd surrender. Can't wait to cut the whole joke. All right,
I
keep
don't know.
going.
I might keep it.
All right.
Yeah, I think bugs do go in. Are the hardhounds eating them? Don't know.
Yeah, they're like...
They ate a stick, so...
They did, yeah, because there's nothing else in there right now, so...
Yeah.
Chase's stick goes in, and the hound slobber all over it.
They do, actually.
Chase rams his 12-foot stick into the boundary, and the hardhounds just can't help but slaver on it.
You know what? You kept making jokes in the last episode that some of them I cut out about... the hardhounds fighting him in the loins. I don't know. They didn't make the jokes. Made no sense. They were so weird.
I don't remember making them, so it's fine.
Yeah, well, you did, and now again, you're talking about hardhounds biting his dick. What's with the obsession with?
Is this an intervention?
What is the obsession with hardhounds and Chase's dick?
Chase put his big stick into the boundary, and the hardhounds bit it. Canonically, in the text.
No, it's just kind of weird because you didn't know that last week, and you were still
true.
talking about it.
Good point. I don't know.
Anyway, so yeah, but we need to explain. So basically, he's trying to show them how the boundary worked, and it is a 12-foot stick. They're really specific about it.
Yep.
And so he sticks it in the boundary. Okay, first, before that though, even.
Yeah, I know.
Chase is sort of like walking into the boundary to give them like a little show. Mm-hmm. And they describe it as a green glow formed around him that grew stronger and grew larger as he walked into it.
Cool.
It was like green glass, wavy and distorted, but Richard could see through it and see the dead trees beyond it, which at first I thought meant he could like see dead trees
in the underworld.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not clear.
It's not clear.
No.
I thought he could see dead trees on the other side of the boundary, but really what he's saying is he can see like it's like translucent, and he can like see the woods
should exist beyond.
No.
Or do exist beyond.
Like literally they're in the woods, and he's kind of seeing like a shimmery green thing, and he's seeing the woods behind it that are like there. Then next is when Chase gets the stick, he puts it in, and then it's like he pulls it out, and
that is no, I'm sorry, it was silent. There was none of that. None of that little yapping barks.
If you were in there, if you were in the boundary, you would have heard it.
You'd have seen it. You'd have heard it. But I'm from the outside.
He pulls it out, and it's like dripping in goo and like eaten.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why the hardhounds would eat a stick.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've been wondering that for years.
It's been in the back of your mind, yeah. And then it specifically says Zedd was bored, Kahlan was not amused, and Richard was astounded.
Yes.
In response to the stick trick.
Zedd's gonna be bored, inherently.
He shouldn't be.
He made this shit. He's like, I don't care. He's like, that's not cool, Chase.
I guess
whatever.
you're right.
And Kahlan's like, that's my PTSD right here.
Yeah. So, like, he does the stick thing.
Yeah.
They all react that way. And then immediately, Chase is being really aggro.
He just grabs Richard by the shirt.
Yeah, he's like,
come see it firsthand, my boy.
Listen, you use my boy for Zedd. I don't think Chase can have it.
It's Westland dialect. It's like, it's a term of endearment. They all use it. It's in the glossary of terms.
I thought that was Zedd's thing to say.
My boy.
My boy.
It's my thing to say stupidly about any character in this book has some sort of a parental role.
I see.
And since he can lift him by his shirt, he's dead.
Yeah. So he grabs Richard by the scruff of his shirt. He's like, we're going in. But before they go in, they like link arms, and Chase is like, follow me, don't let go of my arm.
Don't go too far.
Right, we're gonna go, like, listen to me when we're in there. But like, this is all happening very fast.
They made it very apparent that he rushed him in there.
Yes. And so as they're going in, they're suffused in green light.
Yep.
They hear a really loud buzzing sound.
Yeah, I wrote this down. I actually like the buzzing sound.
I did too.
Yeah.
Did you have a specific thing about the buzzing that you liked?
That it sounded like 1,000 bumblebees, and it got deeper but not louder.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
And yeah, I liked that a lot.
That was probably the 1,000 bumblebees that died getting destroyed.
So they're not dead.
They're just stuck in there.
They're making honey. They're making undead honey.
We can get them out.
We can get them out. The boundary's coming down any day now.
Yeah.
1,000 bees plus.
Anyway.
Zedd's back on the okay list.
I thought that was cool, the description that it became deeper, not louder. That's creepier.
Well, and I wrote that's a good auditory illustration. I wrote illustration, but can you illustrate something auditorily? I don't know. It's a good auditory signal for descent.
And like
it's not.
It seems very like demonic.
Yes, you're stretching down,
it's creepy.
And like that's creepy.
Yeah.
And then we don't get much of a description of anything in the underworld. It's not much.
Well, I wrote some stuff. It was kind of confusing. It was. I feel like once I read it really slowly a couple of times, I understood. It's like basically everything gets really dark except that there's the green glow around Richard and Chase.
Yes.
It seems like from that point they take one more step, and then they see that there's a dark wall in front of them that's somewhat transparent, and that's where Richard can kind of see like figures of people and ghouls wandering about.
There'd be ghouls in there, yeah.
And Richard is like aware right away that he's like, oh, that's the dead people.
Yes. Yeah. He seems to know immediately. Oh, and then and then he knows that the what he thought were bees were actually voices of the undead.
Oh, I don't remember him linking that to the bee sound.
He said the noise that he thought was buzzing was actually voices calling to him.
Oh.
Which may or may not be true. That might be part of the confusion of the veil or something.
What I thought was interesting, right when they're like in there and they're like looking through the wall where you can like see the dead people, something next to them moved really fast that was close by, and Chase says that it's the heart hounds, but I was like, I'm confused. Clearly they're like, okay, because this is confusing because I'm like, the boundary exists in the boundaries here. And then you're like Westlands, Midlands. And now it seems like we're in somewhere that's like in between.
The boundary, if you look on the map, the boundary is like has some sort of volume.
And the boundary.
Correct.
Because the hounds are clearly nearby. We can like sense they're there, but they can't get to them. So we're like in and in between. We're not in the boundary yet because I guess that's where the dead people are.
No, you're in the boundary. The boundary separates you from the underworld. So the boundary is this like permeable, stretching, like glue kind of space.
But I thought that in order to cross the boundary,
cross the boundary without going into the underworld.
Okay, so the boundary is like, it's like the underworld's in the middle. It's like
correct. He brought the underworld
a Twinkie
up. Yes,
and
the cream is the underworld,
and the
sponge cake is the boundary, and then there's a line cut and straight, like someone put a straw through,
right in the middle,
or wherever. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's the Kingsport.
Yeah, in the middle. Like, it's going through...
Yeah, straight through the Twinkie, all the way. But
not
you don't have to go in the Twinkie.
It's not going through the cream. It's going through the other...
It's going through the... Yeah, it's going through the cream.
No, it is. But I'm saying, like, the stick's not going long ways. It's going...
Correct.
Yes.
It's going through both sides of the...
Like a cross.
Boundary, cream, boundary.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Twinkie model would have been helpful, Terry, so...
Should have used that. Okay, yeah. So, like, the hardhounds can't get to them.
No, they're still stuck on the other side. I guess hardhounds can come out at night. That's what I'm gathering.
They say that later, and I was like, okay, so they're just like vampire dogs.
I think the boundary gets thinner at night. That's what I'm understanding. The permeability increases, and they're able to like slip through. But during the day, they can't. Or maybe the sunlight hurts them. Maybe it's something like that.
Because they're of the underworld.
Yes.
But I couldn't tell. Like, I was like, are they in the underworld? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So Richard, he is not doing well. He sees the figures, and then he immediately identifies one of them as his dad, who's reaching out to him and trying to be like, my boy. Actually, my boy. This time. The inflection's different. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when it's actually your son, you say it a little differently. But yeah, Richard is suddenly like struck with this desire to basically die, which is hard and especially post-trip, not a good place to be. I think his serotonin probably crashed. But he's here, and the only thing he wants to do is jump over that boundary. And actually, it's terribly sad, and I wrote it down. He wouldn't ever have to be afraid ever again.
And he says he'll never be lonely again.
So Richard's sad and he's lonely, and his dead dad was his best friend. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really have enough time to like get that point, but this hurts. This is like a gut punch.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's really sad. Luckily, Chase is there to pull him out, or this book would have been real short.
Yeah, but naturally, before he pulls him out, Richard, in his desire to die, says, "Fuck you guys," and he takes out his sword.
He tries.
I think he takes
Chase blocks his hand.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
he's not able to draw it, because if he did, Chase would probably be dead too. So that would have sucked.
See, I think that Chase is so strong at this point that Richard could have taken out his sword, and Chase could have just been like, "No."
He just would have like hugged him to like one pec muscle.
That's
and, like,
what I'm imagining.
Yeah, probably. So Chase drags him off and take it from there. Yeah.
Well, Richard's very shocked that it was like. Yeah. That quick that he was ready to be like, all right, bye, everybody.
Peace, life's not so great, yeah.
And then we get a little action here.
Oh, we do.
Kahlan's fucking pissed.
Oh, pissed.
And she immediately grabs Richard away from Chase and then goes back to Chase, slaps this bitch.
Nearly thrice.
Yes. She slaps him twice, gets away with it. Third one, he's like, and grabs her wrist.
But not even, like, stop slapping me. It's like, can you let me explain? Like, it's like,
so calm.
You're not hurting me, but you're being unreasonable.
Yeah, no, I didn't get the sense it was actually hurting him.
No, but it was, and she did get that characteristic sweat strand of hair because she was so angry. Like, it was, like, stuck to her forehead. Terry wrote it in there.
Well, she was probably freaking out while he was in there.
Yeah. She does mother Richard very nicely, where she helps calm him down because he's basically having a panic attack.
Yeah, it's cute. And then he did that for her when she had her little...
That is true. That's a nice one, too.
Underworld panic attack.
Will be paid back again in a reference to something later on. We'll get over there.
So then Chase and Kahlan have this little argument, which do you have a team? Do you have a side you're on for this argument? I do.
I think so. I feel like this debate, and as applied to children, might have a different response as to applied to adults in this scenario. But tell me how you feel.
Well, I'm on Kahlan's side.
Okay.
Basically, Chase is like, I had to do that because when we get to the Kingsport, it's twisty and turny, and the boundary is like, super small. What is that?
It's telling me to water plants.
Okay.
Sorry.
And so he's basically saying, like, when we go through the pass to get to the Midlands, he's going to be really close to the boundary, so I need him to know what's what. Yeah. And then Kahlan very reasonably says, like, okay, great. Well, okay, actually, now I'm confused. Because Kahlan's basically like, well, you could have warned him, you could have explained it, and Chase keeps being like, nothing is as good as experience. Like, me telling him would never have worked. He had to experience it. I agree, but again, the middle part, I assumed Kahlan was saying, yes, you should have brought him in before Kingsport, but you could have explained what was about to happen.
Yes. I think so.
But I feel like Chase's acting like...
Chase's concept here, I believe, is that causing trauma of someone totally unawares will create a more lasting impression of how to avoid the bad thing in the future.
But what I think it would have been traumatic enough if Chase, before taking him in, had been like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is going to feel like probably your dead dad's showing up.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to want to die.
See, that's why it's confusing, too, because then Chase says, it never used to be like this.
No, you're right.
You used to not be able to see the dead people, but now you can. So, I think he was kind of being like, I wanted him to feel the pull of the underworld.
I think he would have felt it. So
he would know if he's feeling it in the future to run the fuck away.
No, I understand, but I think the first time he goes in, even if Chase had explained how it's going to feel, I think he still would have felt it. And I think we could have practiced it and given him a little heads up.
I agree. And I'm a little confused because, if it's, hey, when you get too close to the boundary, there's a little green glow, I think you could have even just told him about it, and then he would have said, good, I won't run in there. Right. But if it's the, hey, when you get too close to the underworld, you will feel like you want to die.
I think it's that.
And your dead relatives are going to be inviting you in. I don't even know that Richard now is immune to that next time.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know how much Chase was helping. Although
I think it seems valid to be like, we're going to do a practice run or two. But, like, I think we could have, like, prepped him for it.
Right now, we got Chase, Zedd, and Kahlan. And Richard says this because he's pissed. He's like, y'all keep scaring the wits out of me. I can't go a day without one of you fucking freaking me out more than, like, I've ever been freaked out in my life. Mm-hmm. I understand you're trying to help me, but, like, can you guys just fucking chill for a minute? It feels like... Yeah, it almost feels like they're just... I don't think these three people know what they're doing.
Well,
They're throwing Richard into the meat grinder constantly.
No, I don't think they...
I don't think they're right.
Well...
Because we get that... We get the chat coming up about... Well, from the previous chapter, everyone's saying, like, Richard, you're an idiot if you come back and try and save me.
Yeah.
And Richard is going to now time and again say, fuck that, I'm saving everybody. Which they all made fun of him for.
I don't know. Does he do that? I don't know.
Well, we're going to get to it in this chapter, but he basically saved all three of them.
Oh, in that sense?
Yeah. He should have left them, according to all of them.
No, because he needs them right now for his mission.
Yeah, if he gets caught by these dogs, I don't know if it's going to matter, but we know he makes it.
Yeah. I think he's being, like, kind of selfish by saving them at this point.
That's how you're taking it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's self-motivated.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I need him to get me to the next step, and that's why I have to.
Yeah.
Instead of, I want my friends to live.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from it.
All right. They could view it that way, but I don't think that's what Richard's thinking.
No, maybe not. But since those two things align right now, it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
So then I just thought it was funny. Right after Richard asks how they know the boundary is falling. Mm-hmm. And Chase and Zedd are like, oh, it looks different. It used to be more opaque.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And
the vibe's off. Richard's
like, how long until it falls away permanently?
Yeah.
And Zedd's
like, got an answer.
Well, no, at first he's like, there's no way to know. And then Richard's like, fuck you. Uh-huh. Give me your best guess, you asshole. And then Zedd gives a really specific answer.
At least 2 weeks, but maybe at most 6 or 7 weeks.
He says that it's not going to... it will not fall within 2 weeks, but probably will be gone in 6 or 7. I'm like, when he asked the first time, why would you have not just said that? It was a really clear answer.
I don't know, but I have a good guess within, 70 days.
I'm like, dude, why were you holding out?
That's the answer.
You're asking Richard to go on this journey, and you're not giving him.
Nobody tells my man anything, and he's asking good questions.
I know. I was proud of Richard for being shut up, give me your guess.
I don't know, bitch. You do. You're right. I do.
I know.
It took 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Terry was getting across by including that. Maybe showing us that Richard's getting more leadership qualities.
Yeah, I do think that's partially.
But what does that say about Zedd's character?
He's lazy.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think he is. And then Richard does the thing he did when the dick removing incident at Zedd's cabin occurred, where he goes, "Wait a minute. Darkenrahl owns the Underworld, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "We shouldn't be here. We just touched the other side, and they're coming." And they're like, "Huh, you think?"
Yeah. And during that conversation, Richard's like, "Do you think that he knows about this pass through?" And then Zedd's like, "Well, he can travel through the whole thing already, so no, he probably doesn't care about that." But yes, he would. Yes, he would. He would care very much if other people could get through, especially if he's after Richard. He knows about everything going on.
100%.
He'd care a lot.
100%. That doesn't even make it's stupid. It's
why would Zedd say
he
that?
could just run back and forth, no problem. It's yeah, but he's chasing someone who can't.
Exactly.
So he's saying, how are they going to try? Oh, wait. So they're trapped here unless there's a way to get through.
Right. And so he's an expert of the Underworld.
Yeah.
And he wants to make sure that people can't get through to the Midlands. My man would want nothing more than to know if there was a way to get through.
I would think. And he's probably going to be messing around when they try and pass through.
But why? I find that frustrating because I'm like, why would... Zedd is supposed to be a genius. Yeah. Why would he give him such stupid answers?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love when Kahlan says no one really knows that much about the Underworld in the presence of the man who put the boundary there. And I'm like... If anyone knows anything about the Underworld here, Zedd has to know something about the Underworld.
But I don't think so because of the Twinkie. Because he knows about the boundary around it. I think that's just he's not.
He brought the boundary up to protect the sides of the Underworld that he raised from the Underworld. It wasn't there originally.
He raised the boundary between the Westlands and Midlands. I understand that, but. The Underworld being a part of the boundary seems almost incidental or something. I don't think he...
I feel like it must be non-incidental.
No, I'm sure it's important, but I don't know how to explain it. I don't feel like that necessarily means that Zedd knows much about the Underworld. It's sort
just
of
this is the danger zone I can make.
Yes,
and
correct.
I know how to scoop some of it up.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
All right, well, that's fucked, man. You got some powerful magic lying around here.
It was dire.
Filled with hard hounds and whatever else.
Well, I don't know about why that's there. Did Zedd make those?
No, I guess they're just natural denizens of the Underworld.
But they're I don't know. I'm confused.
They're just wolves.
They're not just wolves.
They eat hearts.
Wolves. They can hear your heartbeat.
Or they like eating them. We're not sure. Well, you know what? Monsters attack!
What?
Wham!
What is this?
This is the transition to the next phase of the chapter, where monsters attack! Wham!
Okay, a lot of stuff happens.
Before that?
Yes.
Gimme.
A lot of things occur.
I ignored it.
Well, first Richard asked Kahlan if she saw, if she thinks when she saw her mom and sister in the Underworld.
Oh, yeah, this is important.
Does she think that it was actually them? And Kahlan's like, yeah, I do think that.
Yeah.
And then Richard's like, I don't think that, and I don't think that was my dad, because there was something about the way he was calling me in that I just don't feel like that had my dad's vibe.
Yeah, which...
He was like, that was bad vibes, and my dad wouldn't be like that,
he's spot on.
If he's dead.
And he's spot on with that, absolutely.
Yeah, so he's right. So then he basically is like, I think that Darkenrahl made these he either created the shadow creatures
or they work with him,
like he thinks that they're trying to lure you,
they're like
in.
Mimicking the soul of the person
right,
via magic,
which is a good call. I don't think we have any way to confirm or deny, but it's good to question that.
Richard starts entering these like Super Saiyan moments, like post
Mentally.
A situation where he's just like, wait a minute, Jimmy Neutron brain blast moment, and he's just like, that wasn't my dad, that wasn't your sister, Dark World knows where we are.
I think it's like
we need to get
like
worried.
seeker
like,
intuition.
That's that, and that's what it feels like.
And then Chase is saying that they need to get to Scow Swamp.
We need to get to Scow Swamp
before nightfall.
Before the night comes.
When the hounds come out.
When the hounds come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they need, when they get there, they need to go to Addie, the bone woman.
We need to see the bone woman.
She lives near the pass, and they need her help to get through.
She be living near the pass. We need her help. Addie, the bone woman.
And
yeah.
I remember that name. I remember the bone. I remember this. I do. Do you?
I remember it existing. I don't really remember anything about it, though.
I just remember like some visuals. That's all.
The bones.
That's part of it.
Makes me think there's some bones. Anyway.
Yeah, so now go ahead, do your thing. No, monsters attack.
Wham! Monsters attack!
Oh, God. This is Frank's really good idea because we're like really big on the props and the costumes. And so his really good idea was...
For those listening, I have just attacked Lauren with a great prop. Since you don't have the YouTube video, you can't see it, but it is a fully furnished leather tendril that looks just like the ones described in the book.
Right, they get attacked by shadow like tentacles,
yeah.
And so Frank, I don't know, thought that his
I found a belt
would be a good representation of this.
Yep.
It would have been better. We were gonna have green lights going on to represent us being the boundary, but it didn't work.
It didn't really work, no. Oh well.
Next time. And all right, great. So
that's about the budget for this show. So my belt,
and it's the same belt you used to be Chase.
So anyway, monsters attack. Wham! Chase gets yeeted.
Yeah.
Yeeted.
But like, it's just okay. Again, I did find this kind of confusing. Where was this It was just like all of a sudden
out the boundary.
I guess it's out of the boundary. There's it's just dark, shadowy
tendrils, or something.
Tendrils.
That's all I'm getting. Yeah.
That's all I'm. Yeah.
It's not clear. It fucking sucks, honestly. I mean, like,
did.
Terry, give me something. Make one beast.
I mean,
you got the Gar.
Happy.
You got the Hardhounds. Just give me I don't know.
I was happy something
Roper,
was
like
happening.
classic D&D. Just give me something.
See, for me, I guess it's less that I don't really need it to be like this grounded, concrete like creature.
Well, then you better work your ass off with descriptions.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
Is that I just don't find the descriptions very good, and I'm finding what I'm trying to picture difficult.
Yeah, make its tentacle icy and instill mortal dread or something. Right now, it's like shadow whip.
Yeah,
and Chase gets thrown many tree lengths away from a whip, which means it hit that man so hard he was flung from his horse. This man who is bigger than 4 Daharans.
Well, it's magic, you know.
Well, that's what a wallop.
So it seems like it was very distinctly after Kahlan, and it just wanted to like fuck up everybody else.
That's
right?
what it seems like.
Because if it wanted to just fuck them up, there's no reason why it would be it. So basically, it throws Chase. Eventually, it throws Zedd away.
Yeah.
And it wraps around Kahlan's leg and is dragging her into the boundary.
Yep.
So clearly, we're trying to get Kahlan into the boundary specifically, and we don't give a fuck about Zedd and Chase. I don't.
Seems weird. Richard seems
right?
like he should be the main target. I'm thinking these things are kind of blind in the daylight. They're just kind of attacking.
I don't know. It seemed
But like maybe if you drag someone in, it's an auto kill. So they're like, let's just grab them, you know?
I don't know.
I don't know either. So there's 3 of them, as far as I can gather.
I guess so.
One attacks Chase and then grabs Kahlan and pulls her. One goes after Zedd, and the other one just stands there looking like Richard's dad within the boundary, and he gets cut down first.
Okay, that was confusing. I was like, why are the tendrils turning into people?
I think the way I'm imagining it is the body looks like the people, and they have like creepy tentacles coming off of them, like very slender.
Yeah, right. Because like, then later, as Kahlan's getting dragged in, she does say that the one dragging her in is her sister.
Exactly. So I think it's this illusion magic wrapped around a horrible tendril monster.
It's not like
it's not clear.
It's not described
clear.
well in a way that
I don't really know what's happening, but. Yeah. She gets dragged in. Richard grabs her legs, trying to stop, and then due to great nature descriptions of slippery leaves and dead roots, Richard can't grab Purchase with his boots, so they're getting pulled in.
Yeah, and then Richard tells Kahlan to grab around his waist, which she does. But then right after, he's like, "Actually, bad idea, because I need to like fuck this thing up with my sword." So then he's trying to get her to let go of him. And she's very scared. She doesn't want to. And they like go back and forth a few times.
It was tense.
Yeah, it was.
The action was good.
It was good.
It felt very kinetic.
And then she does let go.
She does. Now, this would hit a lot better had we not entered and left the boundary 4 times this chapter. Chase went in once alone. Chase went in with a stick. Chase went in with Richard. And now Kahlan's getting dragged in. The only device in this chapter is crossing the boundary. And we've done it 4 times now.
It's a tutorial mode.
That's what it feels like. It's like, all right, well, let's see how you feel against one enemy now.
Yeah, you're right.
So anyway.
Yeah. So when she lets go, Richard, like, jumps up. And it was just, like, not that clear. I tried really hard to understand what happened.
Yeah.
He jumps up. The dark underworld wall where you can, like, see the dead materializes in front of him.
Yeah, so he's right there. He's at the boundary.
So I'm guessing they got dragged in...
Green light, green sheet, dark wall. Here we are.
And he sees his father.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, fuck you, you're not my dad. And Sword of Truth's him.
Sword of Truth's him, 1 down, no problem.
Right.
Richard's anger is stronger than everything.
And then he goes to kill the thing that's pulling Kahlan in. She's like, no, it's my sister. And he's like, it's not.
It ain't.
Goodbye.
Slice.
Right, which kind of like goes back to his like, it's kind of like tutorial mode on Richard being ruthless. Like Zedd wants him to be.
Yep.
It's like he's...
We did just talk about this.
Right, but it's not a real one because he like, it doesn't count in the sense that he knows that it's not actually these people. But it's like good practice for him.
That's true.
Right?
Well, to be fair, he thinks that. He doesn't have confirmation.
That's true. But he's like, he's pretty confident.
His dad probably wouldn't be dragging him into the underworld like that.
No.
So, good move.
And then he kills the fake sister.
So 2
and
down.
He scoops Kahlan up.
See, what you're doing right there? Show the camera. What are you doing right there? No. Incorrect.
What?
Richard does not use 2 hands to grab Kahlan.
Oh, he used one.
He uses one and non-dominant hand to scoop her up by the waist from the ground. He has his sword and he just grabs her and picks her up.
I think my brain just like refused to think that that's
with his left hand. My man just said, "Scoop."
Kahlan's like a skinny legend over there.
Gotta be a little twig. That's all I know.
90 pounds.
No. That's where you're wrong. That's how big Richard's arms are.
But I'm trying to keep it in perspective because, like,
he's powered by the Sword of Truth. Richard's biceps gained 21 inches that day.
He picks her up.
He lift and carry fetishes her away from the boundary.
Enough! I don't even think that is one. Like, I don't even think...
What?
It's... lift and carry fetish.
Yeah, that's a fetish.
I feel like that's only women picking up men, though. Like, online, mostly.
Yeah, of course. Women aren't going to watch that. They might, actually.
It doesn't sound that bad.
Well, that's why Terry put it in the book for you.
Thank you.
Check.
And She's like shaking. He's hugging her.
Uh-huh.
She's hugging him. She asks where Chase and Zedd are. And she thinks that they're in the boundary for some reason. I don't know why. And so she starts running back into the boundary. And then it says, Richard snatched her by her wrist, almost yanking her from her feet. "Stay there," he yelled, far more angrily than required, pushing her to the ground. I don't know why I found this funny. Something about it. Like,
just sit the fuck down, all right?
No, it's just funny because it's like, I like the idea that Richard is just like randomly like screaming at people in a way he normally just like would not be.
He doesn't know how to control the angle of the sword.
It's just kind of funny.
You know, when it comes out of him, he's just very bossy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
just
a
like,
big,
shut up.
A big bad boss.
Yeah.
And that's it. Throws the girl to the floor.
Right. So he finds Zedd. Zedd's unconscious.
Zedd's knocked out. There's another.
Yes.
The third dude is there, the shape or whatever.
Another tendril shows up randomly and Richard's ready.
The way I took that, it was like that was the one. It was beating Zedd up the whole time. So like it was about to like kill him, and Richard ran over and finished it.
It doesn't say that.
No, it doesn't.
Just said Zedd. I found Zedd. He's unconscious. Oh no, another tendril.
But we do get a really good thing where Richard lops off the tendril and it vaporizes when he cuts it off.
Yeah, why are you saying that? Like, that's exactly what I would imagine would happen.
Is it the power of the sword?
I think if you like killed a real person, I don't think they're going to get vaporized.
Probably not. That seems like a lot.
I think it was just an aesthetic choice.
Sure.
Being honest.
Sure. Yeah, dark tendrils get to get vaporized.
Don't they?
They're like zombies. They don't count. You get to like blow them up.
So Richard picks Zedd up, also with one arm.
Yep.
Threw him over his shoulder, quote, like a sack of grain.
Yeah, what? I don't. Yeah.
Carried him to Kahlan.
Great quote. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I needed that.
Citing my sources.
Zedd can't not be food. Anyway.
I think it's just trying to be like, this was so easy for Richard to do.
Because he's a skin and bones old man with no ass.
True.
Canonically.
And so he drops him off with Kahlan.
Mm-hmm.
She's inspecting his wounds.
Yep.
Do you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay.
I didn't care to write any of this down.
You didn't write any of this down? Okay, well, then I have to keep going.
Yes, you do.
Finds Chase, also unconscious.
Yep. Bleeding.
Has a head wound. So he's like, Richard, there's a whole scene where it's really difficult for Richard to drag humongous 350-pound muscle man Chase
pure muscle Chase
over, but he does it.
Uh-huh.
Another thing that kind of confused me was this next scene. Well, first, Richard and Kahlan decide, like, they need to keep traveling because the hounds are coming if it's nighttime and we don't make it to the swamp.
Gotta get away from the boundary and
we just gotta get out of here. Which I think makes sense. I don't know what else they're going to do.
No, they have to do that.
So they decide to put Zedd and Chase onto their horses and keep going. And this is a very Terry, like,
it's a page and a half. They chuck them over the saddle.
And then they're like, they're not tied. We're not tying them. And then Richard's like, I'm lost. I don't know how to get back to the trail. And then he's being really down on himself because he's a woods guide. And he's like, how could my whole thing is guiding and I'm not guiding right now.
Yeah, it's almost like you've never been in these woods, but all right. Yeah.
And, well, I think his skills are supposed to translate.
These are magically dead woods.
I know. Well, he's disappointed in himself.
And he almost just killed himself. I don't know. Give him a minute.
We also see Richard use his woods guide skill to put leaf.
He probably chewed it up himself and spat it onto the wound.
Which, did you know?
No. Did you wiki it?
Is a fictional plant.
Oh.
It's not real.
That's
Sounds
so
real.
dumb. There's got to be something just like it.
Well, I don't think it's dumb. I think Terry really likes making
magical
fantasy
plants.
vegetation.
Yeah,
and given
Go off, King.
Given his nature passion, I actually think that's nice.
That's cool. All right.
I think he likes sitting there thinking about, like...
what? Yeah, all right. That's fine.
I'm okay with it.
That's fine. But he dresses the wound, he drags him over, he throws him on the horse, we can't tie him up. Then like 20 minutes later they stop to tie him up.
I know.
And I'm like,
and then
right, like just do it the first time. I don't care.
Yeah, they find the trail and then Richard's like, okay, now that we found the trail, we can go fast. So now we got to tie them up. Then they get off the horse. I'm like, just tie them
it's the same exact thing as Chase saying, this is a good spot. This is the spot.
Yeah.
And now it's like in reverse. We can't tie him up until we're at the trail. Now we are at the trail. Let's tie him up.
But we didn't need... And then it's annoying to do it in general, but like we definitely didn't need to actually like write out how it went down.
No. No, like more than half a sentence. Like, we tied their arms and legs to the horse and kept going. Like that.
I really want to be fair, though.
Yeah.
If I were reading this
Yeah.
faster, I say this a lot, but if I were reading this faster, and if I wasn't stopping to literally discuss what occurred, I don't know how much it would stick out to me.
It wouldn't stick out much.
Because sometimes, I actually said this, why do I keep talking about Brandon Sanderson?
Here it comes.
Well, I'm reading.
Get ready.
I'm reading Oathbringer right now, so that's why I'm thinking about it. But I said that I think people, when they criticize him for like things being really long-winded and kind of like, is that necessary? I don't know.
You're talking about Brandon now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah.
People say this about the Stormlight Archives. They're right, but I enjoy being in the world enough that actually things taking a long time, and like I'm kind of like, I don't care, I just like to be here. And I think if I were reading this more normally, I might have a lot more of that feeling.
I will agree. I think
I might
a lot of time. This is a big, thick book.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of it, it's almost the repetition and all that is some sort of it's less like good prose and more like it creates headspace.
That's what I think it is. Yeah,
it creates this like repetitious like environment. I think you could do that maybe better.
Maybe.
And maybe less irritatingly, because I think this sort of thing would have gotten on my nerves if this is the first time I was reading it anyway.
Maybe.
But
I don't know.
I think reading it continuously eliminates that feeling.
Yeah, well, because like I was thinking like, okay, if I was reading Brandon Sanderson, the book I'm reading, I've been really enjoying it. But if I actually did, after every chapter, have to sit down and talk about it, I probably would start saying like, oh my God, why did we talk about this again? Oh my God, again. But that's not actually how I feel when I'm just reading it normally.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I want to give Terry that like space.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
So that makes it kind of hard.
Salt grains. Take it with those.
Do you want to add more to that?
What would I add?
I don't know. Another nugget of wisdom.
I just broke it down.
The salt grains.
Take it with those.
Take it with those.
Take it with those.
I liked that as they're like walking, just a note, Richard's thinking that like, he's like, I don't know if they're unconscious because they just got like knocked out or if it's magic, which I really like because I feel like in books frequently with fantasy books, they'll be like very confident that somebody just got like, it could be in either direction. They'll either be very confident that it's like a physical injury where I'm like, how do you know it's not magic? Or they'll be really confident that it's magic and you're like, well, how do you know that? I like that he's like, because I don't know either.
No, but it's good. It's definitely good to bring up because this big man and this wizard are both like out.
Right, they could have just been longer hella concussed, or maybe what do I know? Those tendrils touch you. Maybe you're fucked for the rest of your life in a slumber.
That's true. You don't know. Maybe they need a little on their heads. You know, maybe a prince needs to come along and give them a little.
No, because you already mentioned that boundary wardens give you goodnight kisses.
Oh, so who's gonna give them one?
Exactly.
Maybe the bone woman will do it. You know.
And then I don't know. The last thing is Kahlan hugs Richard and thanks him for saving her because she's terrified of the boundary. And what do you want to say something? So go ahead.
And if he brings up that she said not to save her, she was going to kick him, which is very hot topic of her.
That's her funny joke.
I'm going to kick you.
They're like little kids, you know.
It does actually kind of make me think that Kahlan is also very innocent.
I agree. She seems really repressed.
And tied to duty
But that makes sense because, like, yeah, if she knows she can't ever have a relationship, she can't have sex with anybody, she probably is just, like, avoiding
shut it off, and I'm not going to ever
which would make her awkward, too.
She's a little awkward.
Oh, they're hella awkward.
They're a little, yeah.
That's cute. Yeah. And then they start going, like, on the trail. It starts to get dark. And the chapter ends with the Heart Hounds are coming. Good job.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it was a little cliffhanger that we had to ignore for you guys. Which, thank God, because we're over an hour now.
Christ. Our Lord and Savior. How?
Well, so we were right on our call.
We made the right call. But
we almost read the other chapter. Thank God we didn't. I do want us to make spice soup soon.
Okay, yeah.
That's going to be like, it's not an episode, obviously. It's just going to be a thing that we
do.
It's
a full hour of us cutting vegetables.
Because it's getting a little chilly, which is nice. Yeah. That's why there's a pumpkin here. But we're going to do it.
What season are we in the book?
I don't know.
Because first day of winter, Richard's dead, right?
So they're not wearing like... Wait, what? Oh, right.
Shar's prophecy.
Right. They're not wearing coats, but they also don't seem super hot either. They're not talking about it, at least.
Are we autumnal?
That would be really soon. Then he only has a few weeks.
That's true.
Maybe it's spring. That would make sense.
And then they're making spice soup. She made the spice soup.
That makes sense,
So yeah, in the spring
right?
It makes sense. Yeah, coming off of winter, it's nice. It's brisk. Who knows? I'm sure they said it. But anyway, spice soup coming soon. Whenever the weather stays nice and chilly.
Yeah. So that was that.
That was that.
Excited to read chapter 15. Thanks to everybody who comments.
We love the comments.
We get really excited.
Yeah. We
when
chat
people
about
say,
it.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. If anybody comments, we will like that day be like, oh, did you read? TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, doesn't matter where. Do you want to howl on the way out?
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Awoo!
Awoo!